Good morning, minions, and welcome to this week's episode of No More Mr. Fat Guy TV. Now, I apologise up front in case my voice comes across as croaky or maybe a little bit nasally. I have been suffering with a cold for the last couple of weeks, so yeah, many apologies for that. But we'll struggle through and do our best. Now, again this week I put out a shout on the Facebook page for a tag and brag. So as promised, I'll just quickly look down at my phone just here and scan through some of those that actually responded to that and give a few shouts. I think one of the biggest ones from last weekend really was the New York City Marathon. Now there were a special mention must go to for bravery beyond the call of duty to Jackie of Fitsparrow and Stephanie of I Run California, who apparently both put themselves at risk and were severely groped by giant-sized minions just for the sake of having a photograph taken that they could post onto the page. So yeah, that was hilarious, guys. That was fantastic to see. If you haven't seen it, it's in the photos collection on the Facebook page. Yeah, so that was massively funny. Thanks very much. So continuing down, we've basically got Amy Smith, who is running a 10k over a bridge. She did mention the bridge. It's the Pleasure Island Bridge, Port Arthur. What else have we got? We've got Sue Keane running an 8k on Sunday, one of the Sri Chinmoy races in Sydney. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I probably didn't. Camo Oxford, one of the Rogues, last weekend. Friday 10km speed sesh, Saturday cricket, Sunday 18km long run, and then pretty much the same this weekend, except I have a 21k scheduled for Sunday. So I'm not quite sure when he's going to get a chance to cook the Sunday roast. Lana Kelly, previous shit sorter. It's not this coming weekend, but I hope to be at for first proper run since the sprained ankle. 2 miles and very easy one at that. Please keep everything crossed that it all goes to plan. Yeah, best of luck with that, Alana. It's always bad. You take any time out of running, it's always frustrating, and it's always good to come back from injury. And Christina Menard Brand. Christina is crazy mama running. I think there's crazy mama runner and there's crazy. I think it's crazy mama runner, but I know who she is. You know who she is. I'm doing my much anticipated half. Presumably that's a half marathon as opposed to half a sandwich or something like that. Steve Main, former work colleague and friend of mine, did a 10k personal best at lunchtime on Monday, 46 minutes 50. I have to say I'm very impressed with that. I'm still struggling well, I'm just about hitting the 60, but 46.50 sounds well impressive. Well done, mate. And let's see, one more. Who are we going to choose? And our technology is going to let me down and go really slowly. And we have, that's what we've got. We've got a whole bunch of Queensland, the whole bunch of Brizzy runners. Basically, if they're female and they wear brightly coloured outfits and they're based in Brisbane and they run, they're probably doing the, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, I presume it's Moustache, Mousdash, which is basically a 10k or so run up and over a mountain. I understand it's a Movember event, so as you can see the Mo is coming on. It's looking seedier and sleazier than ever. But yeah, so basically all those guys over there, let's see, we've got Runder Woman, Running Girl, Shopaholic Runner, Running Because I Can, Watching As I Run, Running Optimistic, Damsel in Runners, Maramon, and I'm just, basically, as I say, if they're female, wear brightly coloured running gear that colour coordinates, and they're based in Brisbane, then they're probably running up over that mountain this weekend. So all the best with that. Yet again, I'm over here in the west, incredibly jealous. I mean, it's Movember, I'm growing a Mo. It would have been an ideal event to take part in, but I'll be there in spirit. In fact, on Sunday, probably about the same time, I'll be doing my first ever trail run with a couple of the other rogue runners. So that'll be interesting over here. I think it's a 15k trail run, which we've decided would be a good idea to do a trail in the daytime ahead of doing a night trail later on in the month. Probably figured that doing the first trail run in the day was probably better than doing it at night, so just to get used to doing that kind of thing. So that's really stuff that's happened and stuff that's coming up. One of the other things I did this week was went with the Ask No More Mr. Fat Guy idea again, and again that proved popular. Really, there's a couple of questions that keep coming up. I think food is being asked about a lot, and also how I got started, really. So I'll just quickly go through those two areas. I mean, in terms of food, no, I don't do anything in particular. I don't do any special diets. I don't do any fad diets. I deliberately stay away from shakes and magic pills and potions and promises to reduce anything that promises to reduce your belly fat in 24 hours. Or all those kind of things. I'm sure there's some value in a lot of those, in some of those things, if you just want to get some rapid weight loss to get yourself kick-started. Unfortunately, they don't teach you anything. They don't teach you any of the habits that you need to establish for the longer term. So basically, my food intake is really just normal food, and it is normal. It's not even paleo or Atkins or any of these specialised diets. It's very much a mixture, a good balanced mixture of proper food, real food, everyday food. I do actually kind of cheat a little bit in terms of I actually order from Light and Easy, which is an Australian company that they basically it's a nutritionally balanced, calorie counted sort of meal packages. I basically get breakfast and lunch for Monday to Friday delivered. Every Friday I get a delivery to my door. That basically gives me a good, balanced, varied, interesting, tasty, healthy selection, primarily for lunches. I mean, most of the lunch options near work, it's very hard to find something that's reasonably priced and healthy that isn't salad or some sort of variation of salad. So that works for me. I get a good variation in my breakfast and my lunch, but I know what I'm eating. It's convenient. I basically don't have to take time out to prepare that. That's complemented with a good healthy meal and not too much. So a reasonable sized portion and a good healthy meal in the evening. I also then supplement with things like I take a one-a-day multivitamin. I basically I take a nighttime multi. I've taken fish oil and glucosamine tablets basically for my the fish oil is heart and brain, but also for joint health. So and that in combination with glucosamine has basically so far, touch wood, managed to keep my joints relatively injury free, particularly my knees. So there's some sort of additional stuff going on. There are some capsules and pills, but food-wise, the actual food isn't some sort of magic fix everything overnight type solution. And I thoroughly recommend that you find some way with real food that will work for you, as opposed to trying to find the quick fix. Quick fixes never fix anything. The other one, really, going back to how I got started, or the reason I got started, mentioned it before in blog articles. I think I mentioned it recently when I did a local radio interview this week. Mentioned it, I think, on a previous video as well. There was no single point where there was no single catastrophic event that basically started it all. It really was a lifetime of not quite getting where I wanted to go, and a lifetime of disappointments, and a lifetime of just things that just not being quite as happy as I wanted to be, and not quite achieving everything I wanted to achieve, and really just letting myself fall into the trap of having that kind of classic lifestyle that everybody really has, with bad food and sitting at your desk and not doing much exercise, and convincing yourself you had no time, and promising yourself that you would do something about it one day, and telling yourself the lie that I'm still young, I'm young enough to handle this, I can sort it out later. The fact is, before you know it, it is later. It's hopefully by the time you realise it isn't too late, but I mean there's always that danger that it is too late. And ultimately, it was just all that all that accrued stuff that built up over sort of like from the age of about from my early teens, really, for about 25, 30 years, just really built up, and so I finally got to the point where I had enough. Enough was enough. I had done a little bit of personal development work in terms of trying to achieve things with business, and that did help spark things into action. Following my sort of my more spiritual type practices, that did act as a catalyst in a way. But it was one way or the other, the actual method that brought it about is kind of irrelevant. It was really just a case of getting to that point of just an average existence that wasn't fulfilling, and I'm sure that will resonate with pretty much the vast majority of people, and so you need to find that trigger point for yourself. Maybe start having if there's anything going around in your head at the moment, thinking I'm not quite I'm not quite where I want to be, and I'm not completely happy with the way that my life's panned out, and I want to change things. And if you've just got slight niggles there, then start exploring those. Start just giving yourself some time to think about it. And once you start thinking about it, and you give a bit of oxygen to those ideas and those thoughts, they'll start to take on a bit of a life of their own. And then they'll start to gather a bit of momentum, and then at some point it will become major enough, critical enough. There'll be enough critical mass there that maybe it'll start. It'll basically kick off a chain reaction of thinking and thoughts in your mind that may actually spur you into the action that you need to take. So that's the only advice I can really offer on that. I know what happened with me. Your story will be completely different, but that's probably the best advice I can give. So moving on, as you know, every week I like to just find a topic, and this week a topic that's quite apt is really the topic of setbacks, and temporary setbacks and disappointments, which doesn't sound like a particularly positive topic to talk about, but I think it's quite an important one. For me, really, the last couple of weeks have been marred a little by this cold. I basically had this chesty cough that was sort of lingering for a while. I tried to battle through it, and I thought I was getting there. And then ultimately, after Tough Mudder, it developed into more of a full-on head cold, and I really had to face up to it this week. I think Monday this week, I had an all-day seminar that I only made to halfway point, went home and slept. And then I just had to say, right, okay, my interval session on Tuesday were basically had to be abandoned. I was doing nothing. I think I've run once this week, but really, whether it's just in terms of running and physical health, and I know that a lot of people experience this on when they're going through training programs for specific events like half marathons and marathons. Whether it's actually in a race itself, you might encounter obstacles or issues may arise that you didn't expect, or whether we're talking about life in general, or whether we're talking about things in business, business transactions that don't pan out exactly as you planned. You're expecting certain things to be in place and they don't quite line up for you. Whatever it is, there will always be, if you basically work into a plan or you've set a goal, then life isn't perfect, and the line of success is never a straight line. And that's a fairly classic one in any of the self-development or business development type stuff. Is this idea that if you plotted a graph of like success over against time, then it's not just a straight line path, at the starting point all the way up to the point that is defined as success. It's very much a sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back type thing, and sometimes it might feel like you're heading in completely the wrong direction, and you're kind of tempted to give up, and then suddenly you'll turn a corner and you'll find that you're actually on the right path all along, and it was just a temporary diversion that was necessary for some purpose or other. Now, in the low scale, this week, just having this cold has knocked my my training plan. I'm doing a training plan to get under 60 minutes for a 10k, that's been knocked out by a week, and that actually means that now events that I've got lined up to fit in with that, like there's a 5k run which was lined up with a 5k time trial on the actual training schedule. That's now knocked out by a week. You know, I've seen it. I had it with my own marathon training. Is I basically, one of my long runs was wiped out by a bout of gastro hitting one weekend, and I've seen that with other marathon or other people training for marathons on Facebook. That basically the question gets asked on a fairly regular basis. You know, I've just had 2 or 3 weeks sometimes of illness. At what point should I be restarting my marathon training program? And people, you have to deal with that all the time. And the important thing is to not let it get on top of you, not let it, or to try not to let it worry you too much, and and certainly don't let it end. Don't let it kill any plans. Don't let it kill dreams. Setbacks happen all the time. Life will get in the way all the time, and ultimately, how you deal with that will ironically sort of improve you as a person and improve you as a runner. Particularly if it's part of a running program, it will make you more adaptable. The more adaptable you are with running, particularly long distance running, the more easily you will be able to cope with changing conditions on the day of a race, for example. I mean, just going back to the marathon I had at the last minute. I basically had I think it was like during the week before the actual event itself, there was a last minute route change, and they basically threw in an extra part, or brought in a part that included a hill. Now, I'd done no hill training whatsoever, and on the day I paid for that. But in the long term, it's kind of improved me, because it's made me realise that I can't just train on flat surfaces, and I need to do some hills, and I need to have a sort of wider range of experience of terrains and conditions, and not everything's going to be run on a flat surface at 3 o'clock in the morning, on the streets near where I live. So I've started, for me now, I've started mixing that up. I'm going to do the trail run this weekend. We did the Tough Mudder. We recently, the Rogue Runners Club, we recently did a hill run and that kind of thing. So these little things can sometimes aid us by pointing us in the right direction. Or there are lessons that we can learn. I mean, basically, these things happen. People say, things happen for a reason and that kind of thing. It depends how you look at it. It could just be that things happen, and then it comes down to your perspective. It comes down to how you interpret that. It comes down to how you deal with it. Now, you can either look at a situation and say, well, that's completely blocking me from moving forward. It's ruined my plans. It's not going exactly as I planned it. So let's just give up now and go home. An alternative to that is to just look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this? What's the positives that I can take from this? Where perhaps is this taking me in a slightly different direction, or taking me to the same destination but in a slightly different way? And how is it possibly serving me? What can I take from this? For me with the hill, it's a case of I've got to add hills into my training. You may find that if it's something to do with business, that you may need to change your business practices and your business planning so it's more flexible and more adaptable. You may find if it's something in your personal life, temporary setbacks happen in people's lives all the time, or even permanent setbacks. You get things happening and things coming up that you just did not expect. But you can take them, take any lessons that you can from them, take any positive that you can, and try and minimise on the negative side, really, because that we can all take anything, any negatives that are available from any situation, and let them completely just shut down our lives. We can basically let them bother us, and we can let them get on top of us. And it's understandable sometimes, you know, it really does seem so dark and so impossible with you know, certain things that happen in life. It really does seem, you know, how do I get past this? This is just insurmountable. But there's nothing in life that is that bad. Ultimately, I think that the fact that the human race has been around for however many sort of thousands of years that we've been around, the fact that we are still here is kind of evidence that it doesn't matter what you throw at us. Nothing is completely insurmountable. We are an adaptable animal. And we do have these things between our ears that are pretty powerful instruments, the old brain, and we do have the ability to think ourselves into, we can think ourselves deeper and deeper into the negative, or we can think ourselves out of it. We can think ourselves out of, into a more positive sort of mindset and a more positive outlook on life. So if we just basically wrap up by saying, no matter what life throws at you, whether it's in terms of your running training, or whether it's in terms of any other aspect of your life, whatever it is, if life is basically throwing things at you that don't seem to fit your plans, then just be assured that all you've got to do is find a way of integrating that, integrating the positives and the lessons from that into your plans, and just be a bit more adaptable. And you will find your way around it. And when you get around the other side of this obstacle, you'll find that you've basically learned some valuable lessons. You'll be able to cope with things a lot better in the future. The next time a similar situation comes up, you've already got half a solution already there. You know that you dealt with it before, so you know you can deal with it again. And it will just improve your life, and it will improve in terms of running. It will improve your ability and adaptability as a runner. In terms of being a human being, it will just make you a better person in the long run, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. So if you're in that situation at the moment, if you've got life throwing things at you that you really didn't want and you really didn't expect, or are really feeling like spanners being thrown in the works for you, then just rest assured, just if you allow yourself to open your mind and allow yourself to think positively, that everything will ultimately pan out okay, and on the other side of it all, you will have learnt lots of lessons and you'll be a better person. So on that positive note, I will end here, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye.